So, I'm all kinds of pissed off, and I'm going to explain why. And it should be pretty obvious I'm pissed off. I'm making a second video today, and normally I'm too damn lazy to do that. But, for those of you who happen to download and use the, or attempt to use, and I'll explain that in a second too, but for those of you who attempted to use the Tim Hortons app between April 1st, 2019, interesting choice of date, and September 30th, 2020, you may not be aware of it, but they were collecting your geolocation data without your permission. But they don't think they did anything wrong. So in order to avoid continuing a class action lawsuit to trial, they've decided to settle, or at least make some sort of restitution. Yet their idea of restitution is to give you a $6.19 beverage and a $2.39 donut. I did the math. So $6.19 and $2.39 together is $8.58. Add 15% taxes, because, you know, they had to allow for taxes, and you get $9.44 today. However, our inflation rate is currently at 8.1%, which means you can knock off about a tenth of that. So to be fair, instead of 94 cents, we'll knock off, say, 86 cents and put us right back to $8.58. So a corporation that was begun in Canada, sold to the Americans, has decided that rather than show any sort of loyalty to its customer base that created that growth for it, has decided that your personal privacy information is worth less than $10. Okay. I don't have any input into that class action, other than having signed up because I wanted notifications, because, and this is what I was going to explain, I could never get the Tim Hortons app to work properly on my phone. It's a funny thing. Just would not work, and I couldn't figure out why. And then it told me it wanted my location. And then I discovered that the reason it wasn't working properly was because my antivirus software was preventing it from accessing my location data. Yeah. Also, thumbs up to Avast. Great customer service. And exceptionally willing to work with their customers. If you're looking for an antivirus or any other sort of protective software, they even have a VPN now. No, I'm not sponsored by them. I use them. And I've been using them for years. And I've used their paid and unpaid versions. Currently, I'm right back to the unpaid version because, but I'm perfectly willing to watch an ad for them to give me free service. Not a problem. Especially when they do really good customer service. Which, you know, Tim Hortons fucking doesn't. Now, the reason I'm so pissed off about this is because everybody and their uncle was noticing this. Now, I'm not even a tech guy, and I noticed that. I'm a boomer. I'm a woodworker. As I like to say, damn it, Jim, I'm a woodworker, not friggin' customer service. Not tech support. And yet, when they were called out on it, Tim Hortons, who now says they did nothing wrong, refused to acknowledge that it was happening. Well, if you weren't doing anything wrong at the time, and knew you weren't doing anything wrong at the time, why'd you keep doing it? And why wouldn't you own up to it? More importantly, why wouldn't you own up to it? Yeah, we're doing that. What's the problem? Right? What's going to end up having to happen is people are going to have to say, okay, corporation, if you want access to my personal data for your use, you're going to pay me. And it's not going to necessarily be a big amount, but for every year that I use your app, I want $100. Seems fair. You're using the information I provide that app as a resource to make more revenue for yourself, and I'm seeing no benefit. Your board members, on the other hand, are getting massive bonuses for profit increases. Yeah. Funny thing, that. more than anything else, the thing that really pisses me off about this is, technically, under the law, they weren't doing anything wrong. It's fair. But I can guarantee they made way more than $10 off me. How many places did they sell my information to? Oh, wait, no, they didn't. Because my app never worked properly. And I'm okay with that. Now, am I going to go and get my muffin and my cup? No, of course not. I deleted that app the minute I figured out that it was trying to eat my location data. No, fuck off. Fuck you, corporation. And it's just further proof that we're living in a Gibsonian dystopia. Or at least they're trying to bring about a Gibsonian dystopia. And it kind of fuels my theory that there's actually two cabals attempting to take control of the world. One corporate, one environmentalist. The Party of Davos. The difference being, if the corporations were slightly smarter, they'd be trying to make everybody richer. Because the richer I am, the more money I can spend for you. Dumbass. And let me just address this to the political class. Same fucking thing. The more money I have, the more money I can provide you in tax revenue. Idiot. Stop bringing in foreigners to do jobs that Canadians don't want to do at the wage that's being offered. And no, that doesn't mean increase the minimum wage. That means, if anything, decrease the minimum wage. Force the employer to negotiate with everybody for their wage if they want workers. We've had a bunch of different businesses close here recently. And if they had been given the ability to bring in foreign workers, absolutely they would have. And they'd pay the minimum wage. But then the minimum wage went up too high to be able to afford that anyway. But if I'm willing to give them 6 hours of a day on Saturday because I have time off, but they want someone part-time, minimum 4 hours, minimum 6, whatever, but they're willing to pay $18 for those 6 hours. Or maybe I'm willing to offer them a 6 and they want a minimum of 8. Well, if I say if they're willing to offer me 8 at 18 an hour, and I say, well, I'm only willing to offer you 6 at 15, then there's negotiation room. I might say, okay, well, pay me 20 an hour and I'll come work for those 8. Or maybe it'll be, okay, would you be willing to split it into 2 shifts of 4 and we'll pay you 19? I'm just picking numbers out of my head. But my point is, if you give people the ability to negotiate and you prevent an influx of low-paid workers, you empower the population. And an empowered population, while that might terrify some governments, it also means that the country flourishes, because the more empowered a population is, the more a population is able to enrich itself. The more a population can enrich itself, the more it can pay an income fucking tax. And the less that income tax becomes a burden. Honestly, there are times when I think the monarchists might be right. Because one person making these decisions might be a lot better than 100 or 150 with 1,000 bureaucrats behind them, with 2,000 corporations behind them going, no, you need to tell them this, no, you need to tell them this. There's too many fucking interests. The only interest should be national. And now I just discovered I'm a nationalist. Maybe I'm a monarchic nationalist. I'm definitely low government. Small gov, all the way. Anyway, folks, it's just a bit of a piss-off that Tim Horton thinks they can get away with essentially using their customers as another resource, as a secondary resource, without any compensation. I mean, at least when you go in to buy a donut, you get a donut. no matter how shitty it might be. And their coffee always tastes burnt. Yeah, changed every 20 minutes, my ours. Try cleaning your filters. Anyway, rise and rise again until lambs become lions.